Evening guys, thought I'd do another quick strawberry update. I just turned the pumps off on this this NFT system to kind of drown out that noise a little bit. A couple of things I've done since the last video, and first of all I guess we should look at all the progress. So we have a lot of beautiful flowers coming on. There's some strawberries beginning here. Most of these seeds, these seedlings, these bare rooted crowns have put flowers on, and it won't be very long before this tent is filled with beautiful strawberries. So we're exactly 20 days in after I planted this first stretch of strawberries here, and I progressively put more in as well. So this is a different cultivar. These three up here, these two up here are a different cultivar. We've got a pink flowered one up the back here. We've got a couple of French varieties there, as well as these other ones I've just put in our Japanese variety up the back. And in one of these videos I'll kind of outline each of the different varieties that I've got in this tent. But after 20 days I'm pretty impressed at the way that these are really shaping up. A couple of the problems that I had in the past, so I had a lot of splashing problems. The bottom of the tent was filling up with water, and it doesn't show up very well on the video. There's still a lot of water on here because it needs to be dried up and cleared out. But I stacked a second container above here. I drilled a hole in the lid underneath this tub here, a hole in the bottom of this one, and now the water flows straight through the bottom of here into that container below, so it cuts down a lot of the splashes. Now obviously it doesn't cut down on all the splashes. You can see that there's still a lot of water around the top of this container here, which has leaked into other positions, other places in the tent. But it has I was draining out 10 to 15 litres from the bottom of this tent every single day. Got a few seedlings started here as well. We've got some cucumbers in there, we've got some capsicums, some eggplants, we've got another bok choy here. I've started another crack key system down the bottom, so it's all happening here in the tent. 20 days in from planting these top flowers, these top strawberries, sorry. So yeah, we'll update maybe in another, I don't know, 10-14 days, something like that. And maybe I'll compile all of these updates into a single video so that everyone aren't inundated with just single strawberries if you're not particularly interested in that. I'm going to turn the system back on. I've got it on a timer at the moment, and I just turned that off by pulling up the timer. I've got it on 15-minute breaks over time, so it runs throughout the day, and I've got 15-minute breaks every hour or two. And that means that the pump gets to reset itself and start pushing up the water a lot heavier. I found that if you ran it for 24 hours, that the pump would kind of slow down a bit, but by giving it that reset, it kicks it all back in. So yeah, looking really good, guys. Roots coming up the bottom now. So let's check in another 7, 21, something like that. We'll see how we're going as things progress. Until then, catch you later. Afternoon guys, and we are back again. I'm going to attach this to that last video that I took and haven't yet uploaded about the progress of these strawberries in the grow tent here. And a lot has happened, well, a relative lot has happened in the last 10 days, I believe it's been since that video. We're 30 days in the tent overall, and we have some lovely strawberries coming on now. They're becoming quite decent size, some of them. Very, very green still, but in a couple of weeks we're going to find that these strawberries are going to be ready to eat, and I'm very, very excited for that. These strawberries here, I've also put together a bit of a list of the different varieties that are in here, so that I can start to refer to them as they are. I have to admit I don't know the names, I don't remember the varieties off the top of my head. I took a photo as I put them all in and labelled them, but we'll go through them quickly. We have Chandler here, so these 3 cups is Chandler. This came from an eBay seller. These 2 up the back here are also Chandler. And these were larger plants when I bought them, so whilst these other plants here came through as kind of bare rooted crowns, these are more like plants as they come, and you can kind of tell that because you can see how many flowers and little strawberry starts we have on here. So for instance, this one plant alone we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and a couple down here as well, 18, 19, at least 19 flowers and fruits on this one plant. And whether or not a plant of this size can handle them, we will find out very, very shortly. But it's consistent across the back there, and you can see that these back strawberries have got a number of buds and flowers starting on them as well, and it could be a part of the variety that they are, or could be that they were just larger plants when I received them. So Chandler came from eBay, and they're meant to be one of the better tasting varieties in Australia with nice large fruit, so we will find that out. We also have on this front rail here, we have Adina. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Adina all came from the seed collection as bare rooted crowns, as did the ones behind them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They came from the same source, and they are the Melba variety, and I've got 5 of those as well. And again from the same source, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they're the Tioga variety, and they're also from the seed collection. And the Tioga variety are kind of unique in that they have the least flowers on them so far. There's a flower up the back you can see there, and they're kind of more squat plants than the other ones, who are significantly larger in size despite being in the same condition as when I got them. We have some more interesting varieties in here as well. So up the back, this plant here, this is a Cambridge rival. This one came from Diggers, and the Cambridge rival is apparently the one that wins all the taste tests. It was significantly more expensive to buy. It came as a plant. This is the plant that came. I've got one at the front as well. There was actually 2 little plants in that one pot, both very small, and they were significantly more expensive to buy it that way. So we'll see if the Cambridge rival lives up to its name. I've got some Hokowase. That's a Japanese variety. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the Hokowase is a Japanese variety that's going to be quite soft, and many people on the old dailies forum say that it's one of their very favourite varieties of strawberry, and I actually got them from a seller on Facebook. Got an interesting one here. This one here is called a Framberry or a Strasberry, and this is a plant that was bred with the intention of it turning out as close to raspberry as possible. And when they fruit, they're much smaller strawberry. They're an alpine type strawberry. They're kind of round and small and heart-shaped, and they're meant to taste like raspberries. So very, very difficult to find in Australia. I did find a seller. They have a website. I forget its name at the moment, and they were stocking these. Once I bought this one, though, it did say they were out of stock, so it might have been the last one that they had. These next two are another really interesting variety. This is an old French variety. This is called Des Bois. And this is one of the kind of cult strawberry favourites that you can find online. They are the one that meant to have the most fragrant, delicious tasting fruit. And if you look up Des Bois, and this is how you spell it, online, you will be able to find much information about them. And that should be really interesting for you guys to read if you have that sort of inclination. And finally up the back here we have a red flowered strawberry. This is called Summer Breeze Rose. And I've got some of them outside. I've got one of these Des Bois outside as well, but we've got a Summer Breeze Rose outside, and we'll see how they go as well. Beautiful red flowers. Don't know anything about what the fruit's meant to be like. So that's all the varieties that are in here. There's 9 different varieties in total, and they're doing really, really well. It's really cool to see them coming on. Now, as I've been in the tent for a month now, it starts to become evident if there's any problems with nutrition or lights or bugs or anything like that. So this leaf here, you can see has got a bit of discoloration on it. It's got a red colouring. And I'm not certain if that's just something to do with this individual plant. Although you can see we've got the tips of these leaves are a little bit burnt in here, which I actually think might have been a nutrient deficiency the other week that I've since corrected. But since these all received the exact same water from that exact same reservoir down there, and it isn't a consistent problem across the plants, it makes me wonder whether it is actually something to do with the nutrient solution that's used, or if it is an individual problem with that plant, or if it was just something that it went through. maybe when I potted it I damaged some roots, or I did something to it that caused some sort of problem, or there was a very slight issue with nutrients that has since been remedied. We will find out over time as they go. So I'm very excited to see this. Another thing that you'll notice is these plants up here. So these were the Adinas that we have in this front row here with these beautiful large fruit. They also are quite interesting into the size of their flowers. You can see how large the petals and these flowers are on these particular plants, particularly when you can compare them to the Chandler variety down here, which are much smaller. This is basically smaller than a fingernail size. This is my thumb here, compared to this one here, which is bigger than my thumb. So you can see they're quite significantly different in size. That could be because of the light, and the light, you can see, cuts off quite significantly. The lower you get down from the light, it loses light really quickly, and that's because light, the further you go, it gets inversely, exponentially less energy towards the plant. So the further you go away, it gets exponentially worse in terms of energy given to the plants. Having said that, the Chandlers that are up the back here, they also have quite small flowers, so again just thumb size, and so maybe it's just something to do with that plant, and I'm not sure if small flowers translates into small strawberries. We'll have to wait and see how big they grow before we'll be able to tell that. And I am waiting on a bigger light. I did speak about that in the last video. Ordered from Alibaba. They gave me a guaranteed delivery, which is somewhere in the mid-July. I didn't expect them to take the entire time to get it to me, but it looks like they are indeed going to take all the time they can before they send it out. So hopefully that will be here within the next couple of weeks, because in this tent I also have, for instance, this tomato, which is destined to go in a Kratky style system right here. So this little floor space is reserved for a big tub for a tomato. It obviously can't grow under the lights here for very much longer, but if I put it in this dark spot right now, it'll probably not do too well. So tomato is there. Now these tomatoes are already, or this tomato is already putting on a heap of roots since it's been in there. So heaps of roots on this, and I won't lift it all the way out, but you can see that the roots on that in this hydroponic system, I'm very happy with where it lives, and I don't want to disturb these roots too much. I'll push them back in as gently as I can, and hopefully once I transfer it over into the Kratky system, that'll be just as happy in there. And boy, that's a very fragrant tomato. Everything in the tent smells like tomato right now just from picking that up. We also have some thyme in the tent here. We have some bok choy. We have some Kratky bok choy over here. And for those that don't follow hydroponics that much, this is what's called a nutrient film technique hydroponic system. And what that means is there's the water gets pumped into here and flows down there in a thin film, and then it drops down into the reservoir over there, and it's the roots kind of sit along the top of that film, and they can get all the access to the air that they want. Particularly now the timer's off, it has 15 minutes break every couple of hours or hour or two, and it turned off while we were filming this video actually, but that will give these roots plenty of access to air. They're never fully drenched in the water as compared to this Kratky system, where the tub is entirely full of water and the roots drip down, and you can see how well these roots are doing in here actually. They've only been in here about a week, and they will spread out in this nutrient solution and take everything they need, and the bits of the roots that are hanging out of the air, they'll be able to collect all the air they want, and as they drink this water down, more and more roots will get access to the air until the container is basically empty. And even though these guys are way down from the light here, they are actually doing fairly well. Doesn't look like they're suffering any kind of light deficiency. Maybe the slightest amount of yellowing around these leaves here from the lack of light, but they're doing really well. And once I put in that big buffy light that's coming in the mail, they will do even better, no doubt. The bok choy, or another Asian vegetable that we've got here, pak choy, bok choy. You can see the roots of this one also hanging right down, in fact nearly touching the pebbles that I've got in the clay balls that I've got down here. So there's no problem with these roots being in the water, out of the water like this. They do like access to air as long as they don't dry out, and in the 15 minutes that this takes, they won't dry it out at all, and they'll continue to grow. I suspect by the next update that I do on this, those roots will probably be touching those clay balls. And speaking of these clay balls, another new addition to the tent. The floor now is basically dry for once. This system of stacking another container on top of the old one has worked really, really well. And if you compare it to the beginning of this video from when I took this 10 days ago, this was a really noisy unit. But right now with these pebbles in here, it barely makes any noise at all, and it reduces the splashing even further. I've put in here some little seeds that I've started. These are mint seeds, peppermint seeds. And I'm always weary about planting peppermints in the garden, but this is a nice, safe, contained space. And an extra tomato I've chucked in these balls here just as a bit of an experiment. These balls go quite deep, and I figure it's a really good way for me to use extra space in the tent. I am a little bit worried about the potential for these plants, the tomato in particular, to spread its roots throughout all the clay bowls and then clog up the hole that's draining into the bottom reservoir. That would obviously be a disaster, and if that happened, the water in this could fill up and up and up and up. But I'll keep an eye on that, and if it does happen, I'll just probably yank that tomato out, I would say, and just not let it live. Another issue with setting the system up like this is it's very hard to access the reservoir underneath, because obviously all these clay balls are quite heavy and full of water, and I'm not even sure I can do this one-handed. Looks like I can. I'm not sure you'll be able to see the water level in there, but it is a downside of running a container like this because of that reason. It is very heavy. It is much harder to test the water in the bottom. Some people cycle it, and I probably should cycle it, which is removing all the water in there every couple of weeks and putting a fresh water and fresh nutrient in there, but we'll see. And while we're here, we might do a quick check of the nutrients just so we can see what we're looking at for those. There have been a few people that have asked me about running these strawberries in the tent and what sort of nutrient levels and pH I keep them at. I'm going to just manually turn the pump back on so we can get some water. Let it flow through a bit so that it's nice and representative of the reservoir below and not just an individual pipe. We'll cut some water. Should be plenty. And I have a couple of meters over here. This is an EC meter. It measures the amount of salts that are dissolved in the water, and we're sitting at 1600, and this is in micro sievens per centimeter, so just divided by 100, we're sitting at about, divided by 10, sorry, we're sitting about 160, which is a little bit high for strawberries, but not too high. They prefer to be in that kind of 100 to 150, but it is probably a good level to be in for instance, tomatoes, and it's not that high. We have a pH meter here as well. We'll stick that in. pH at the moment sitting at around that 6.4, which is slightly acidic, but not extremely, so 7 is neutral. I actually would prefer that to be a little bit lower, probably in the 5.5 to 6 range. But this has been fluctuating a fair bit, and in the last week it has been actually sitting closer to the 4.5 to 5 range, just a little bit on the low side. So once I do end up taking some of this water out and substituting with the rainwater actually seems to be quite acidic, at least at my house, and that'll drop that pH down a fair bit. And at the moment 6.7 is slightly high, but it's not going to hurt anything. If we see any changes in these leaves and they start to show some signs of deficiencies, well, we can adjust that, and I will adjust it. And as I said, it has been at a much lower pH over the last week. So guys, I guess that's an update for you. I think I'll post that today, the last 10 days, we'll put them together, and then maybe I'll do the next 10 days and the following 10 days after that. We'll put that together as a single video for the next one, and I'll be curious to see how large these grow. I'm sure by the time we get that end of that second part of the next video I put up, this will be under a brand new shiny light. We'll probably have seen some even more growth down here. Who knows what the tomato in there will look like. We might even have another couple of crappy setups going. It's all happening here. Very, very excited, and two fans, by the way, running in this tent just to make sure that everything's nice and ventilated. We do want to make sure that there's air moving around the whole time. Alright guys, I guess I'm going to leave it there. Hope that is interesting / useful to any of you guys that are growing hydroponically, and for a couple of you that have found me on Facebook, clearly it is of interest to some of you. So yeah, let's see how they go, and I guess I'll catch you all in the next one.